guys, it's Jack here, and welcome to the final part of our 5-part retrospective of the King's Gauntlet in the Return of the King Kong reviews. We finally did it! As of this recording, which, believe it or not, I have not edited this episode yet, God help us all, this is by far the most researched of this 5-parter and leading all to what we have been setting up actually since our Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom review when we had that little tease in the storyline. The King's Gauntlet. This was a huge collaborative effort with many people to thank, and you'll see them in the credits, including our cast that have stuck for all 5 parts, our resources, our connections, everyone involved who helped make this 5-parter special, including our sponsors on Patreon. If you guys want to go donate to the channel, just $1 more will get you early access to all of our content as well as other special features. Now bear in mind, this is not the end of the King Kong reviews. We got plenty of episodes in the works coming up, along with some other BigJackFilms reviews, but we hope you enjoyed this finale to this 5-part retrospective that started as essentially some improv stuff we shot in Florida back in 2018 that has spiraled into this massive, how many years does this take? Seven years! Yes, 7 years to produce this thing. God, that took longer than my remake. But enough said, let's roll the picture. Thank you so much for watching part 5. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy the show. The following is a fan-based video review under fair use. King Kong and King Kong Lives are owned by Paramount Pictures, Universal Pictures, Dino De Laurentiis Entertainment, Studio Canal, Scream Factory, and the John Gullerman and Dino De Laurentiis estate. Please support the official release and streaming services.
And now on the big event, the conclusion of King Kong.
And despite its enormity, the Big Kong also went on tour, but over time started to wear away, eventually to some degree, nowhere to be seen. Due to how many full-size pieces Carlo made for the movie being shipped all over Europe for long, untrackable time, it's almost become impossible to document the Big Kong's whereabouts online or where it ended up. I was honestly about ready to give up hope, until we came across a discovery recently and a clue to where the King's remains may be. This brings us to today, as 18 and I have been on the road for quite some time, heading south to the mountains of the Carolinas, which in turn became the home for Kong's following adventure. "18, stop the car."
What's with the stop, kid?
I know where we are. There's something I gotta do before we head to the final location. There's a hotel down the road from here. Take the car and wait there for a day or two. Take this money and this credit card. They'll get you where you need to go.
Well, I trust your instincts, kid, so, do what you gotta do. Just promise you'll be careful, okay?
Yes, love, yes, I promise. I swear to you. We'll come back, okay? Take it easy.
Hey, what's up there?
Someone I owe a visit to. An old friend. As I trek through the mountains to where I need to go, I am reminded of Kong's continuing history with Dino De Laurentiis' obsession with his first endeavor. And also his second. I've talked about it in more detail in my King Kong vs. Orca episode, but during the 76 production onward, Dino was already talking sequel up until 1986. 10 years later, which became the more family-oriented follow-up with King Kong Lives, starring Linda Hamilton, fresh off the success of The Terminator, Brian Kerwin, and not just the return of King Kong, but his mate in Lady Kong. Dino this time around, despite a bigger idea, unfortunately was a little less in money, having to make deals with his now allied colleagues at Universal with former court rival Sid Sheinberg.
MCA went through a lot of litigation in connection with this particular character, and we consider that we're foster parents at this stage of the Kong character.
Having made amends with and collaborating with Universal onwards, from Halloween 2, Conan the Barbarian, and David Lynch's Dune, De Laurentiis had enough leverage to not only persuade the studio from delaying their inevitable Kong remake, but team up to a degree in helping him finance the sequel to line up with their upcoming King Kong encounter on the studio tour. But shooting this time around would not be done in LA, nor New York, or even Kauai. Instead, it would be condensed down to the South States, most notably here in the Carolinas, in a more concealed set of locations. It's here I might be able to know someone who can help us find it, and someone I owe a visit to after all that's happened in the last 4 years. For within these mountains, a safe haven of sanctuary that rivals Kong's Skull Island lair awaits us with a story to tell.
Master, I have the Emporium in my sights.
You're looking great, man.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Jack. Oh. Good to see you.
Anyway, sorry about the house, Dad. I didn't think it would get this bad.
Well, I wish you'd be a little more careful, but we have insurance to cover that, so it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it.
You could say that again. Thankfully, I met up with Timber on the run, who had the backup USBs. Placed a personal tracker on her, so I knew you guys would be safe.
Yeah, I heard you were headed up this way. You know, that you're on a quest for the King's Gauntlet.
You've seen it.
You think I really give a shit about some monkey's paw?
Depends on the monkeys you've seen, I guess.
So, I guess the only thing left to do is to trace the steps back to where this gauntlet was last seen.
Yeah, question, Dad. How are we gonna do that?
Leave it to me. I mapped everything out, and I texted you at your place before you came up here.
Huh, so that's how Croft Cross connected where the gauntlet was at.
Yeah, it was last seen at the studio where the sequel was shot, in Wilmington.
I doubt there's anything left there, but it's worth a detour, I guess. The only problem is it's 300 miles away.
Are we ready to go, Bucko?
So, wow, Dad had it all mapped up in advance. He knew exactly where we needed to go. We celebrated that night with a few drinks, and I decided to show him the movie as reference.
That thing is way bigger than the heart should be. Oh, fuck. So out of proportion. proportions unreal. Hi, baby. I'm still here.
Wait, you're not Jessica Lange. What the fuck? How long was I asleep for? Where's Clinton? They impeached him. Fuck!
This is stupid.
This is such an awful line. We're primates, too.
They even have the sleeping bag open like a big old pussy. Some stunt guy swinging through the set.
Well, what you think?
Click. Jesus Christ.
So dumb.
That was a piece of shit movie.
You're like a monkey. You throw poop at the screen. You're so mad.
That's a piece of shit movie.
Come morning, Dad and I took a detour north to the area of Wilmington, North Carolina to find our deepest lead yet. So Dad, how many miles have we been traveling to get to this location where the old De Laurentiis studios used to be?
A couple of hundred.
Couple of hundred, holy shit. Yeah, we're traveling to Wilmington. We're going to check out where they, Dino De Laurentiis back in the 80s was so adamant of making a second Kong movie that he had built a brand new studio here in North Carolina in Wilmington. Specifically, the first movie to be shot there was the sequel. It's owned by a different company now. I think it's like Screen Gems or something. And we're gonna go see what it's all about. And we're just going there just for shits and giggles since we're on our travels and see where a lot of the interior shooting took place on this particular film. While the weather was fine and the roads were smooth, the road was long and time-consuming, taking us almost 5 hours to get there to achieve. As we pass environments and towns, I myself could see in my head the visuals of where Kong would head next, much like how one Linda Hamilton and Brian Kerwin did before.
They're waiting for him. They'll cut him to pieces.
Lady Kong's silent.
I think that the Wright brothers, when their first airplane flight happened not very far from here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, ironically, what do you know, King Kong climbing up the Empire State Building, fights airplanes. Some of the first aircraft, it was actually Cooper, because in World War I was a fighter pilot, so I don't know if he might have been there, like it was around the time that the Wright brothers did that.
That was over 100 years ago.
Oh yeah, like 100 years ago, but like Cooper was probably definitely enthralled by that one to say, or not enthralled, but, interested, because then eventually he went on to take on aviation to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And I think 2 or 3 times while he was in the battlefield, in the airfield, he was reported killed. There you go, how appropriate's that in terms of just planes and shit. Planes, trains, and automobiles. I don't know why I'm making that reference, but we've been on the road for 3 hours, and we are extremely tired, and we're almost there. We're almost there to this location.
Then we got 3 hours to go back.
As we traveled the countryside along with a cool little port with a battleship, we finally arrived at the location that Dino De Laurentiis built specifically for King Kong to make his grand return. So this doesn't look like much, but this is where in 1986 they had built a studio specifically for King Kong Lives, and right over there is the soundstage, is the first view that they built specifically for it to house all the large creatures and equipment for it. Not too sure if we can get in or anything like that, but we wanted to kind of do showcase where the movies were shot for their interior sets and so on. In fact, for the longest time after the movie wrapped, the head of Kong was on top of the gate thing right there on that little cone. They just placed it there on top. There's photos and stuff we can show just in comparison. So, for anybody interested who are in Wilmington and want to know where a piece of Kong history is and some other films, right here is the best place to be. I used to watch the movie when I was a kid on VHS, and now that we're at it, so there we go. As this studio was being built circa early 1986, Dino had ordered any of the remaining Kong pieces from the first film shipped over to the new studio for a salvation to cut costs. The suits were unfortunately the first thing that were pretty much useless, and Rick Baker was not likely to ever return, not to mention working on, at the time, peak ape suit work on the Dian Fossey biopic Gorillas in the Mist starring Sigourney Weaver. But Carlo Rambaldi happily returned for service and given full creative control in improving the Kong suits, with suit actor Peter Elliott and George Yashasami as the two Kongs.
You're a man!
The suits were made from scratch with new and updated mechanics, along with arm extensions not seen in the character the first time around, leading to some minor inconsistencies between films. The miniature sets were also filmed here to keep costs of travel down, and so the actors and effects artists could work together in sync with the effects work.
One of the reasons that they'd set that up in North Carolina was it's a right-to-work state, so they don't have unions. So the whole concept right from the start was to be able to get people that you only had to pay $5 an hour to work. There wasn't union, there wasn't all of the union benefits to pay for, and you could put people in conditions that they wouldn't accept out in Hollywood.
It's the reason 104 other soldiers are stuck here playing jailer instead of training.
But that wasn't the only Kong effects in the movie. Rambaldi's team ultimately decided to start from scratch and cut costs down, only making animatronic hands, as done before with enhanced technology.
This is such a lifelike hand. It turns, it twists, the wrists go. He can get it to slowly just grab like that, and the one time the first time the hand catches me, it's great. Pins me up against the wall and just grabs me and just goes, jeez. And it's, I don't know, there's something neat about it. I guess maybe it's just because it's something that you're never going to experience in real life.
You must create gorilla, but with very strong personality. Gorilla actor.
But for the full-size Kong pieces, they stuck with the approach that worked better in the first film by creating a styrofoam model with plywood and fiberglass. This one actually had two heads and chests built to switch out from king to lady, depending on the scene set up, and all the sets would be built around where they were kept outside of the exterior locations for a few action set pieces, and coming to the studio itself was worth it to see where the movie was shot. But we hit a few snags though. Despite it being pretty untouched in changes, it's clear we were probably not gonna find anything left from the production. To make matters worse, the studio was pretty tight-lipped on allowing any visitors or tourists. But that didn't stop me from snooping around and asking some of the old folks if they had any leads. And actually, some did. While we couldn't get any leads on getting in, they actually let us into the prop department to dig around for any potential clues, which was pretty damn fascinating, all things considered. We did find what appeared to be many army supplies that have been in storage since the studio's birth, meaning some of these guns and dresses were more than likely used with Nevitt and his men. But outside of that, not much is left from Kong's presence here.
Not even your Kong can survive that.
Oh wow, you've got a lot of stuff. Oh my god. This is crazy. The pirate pistols. Oh wow, you got the... It's plutonium. Doc, you don't just go into a store and buy plutonium. Did you rip that off?
Of course.
That's great. Yeah, because they used a lot of these type of guns in the movie. Especially all the M16s and stuff.
And so some of them, yes, are rubber. And any that are not, or maybe plastic, and anything that was ever real to start with, all the insides have been taken.
And they shot blanks and everything too, yeah.
Yeah, but now the insides are gone, so it won't shoot anything.
Come on, you bastard!
One of the crew members spoke of some foam boulders in the back, but we couldn't get close enough to look, and it's hardly unlikely it's the boulders used in scenes like this. However, King Kong Lives is not the only IP film shot here. Outside of the likes of a few TV shows and films like Iron Man 3 and Black Knight, the studio was also home to the majority of productions of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the original, not the new one, that's a cartoon, and most radical, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. In fact, on display and stored away in the units were what appeared to be one of Michelangelo's nunchucks and Raphael's sais from the film itself. Not gonna lie, that was totally awesome and worth coming to the studio for.
Excellent! Yeah!
But back to Kong. While the sequel was in bright spirits when shooting and everyone got along well from veteran testimonies I spoke to here, sadly the movie itself was a commercial flop. It brought in very little money, got panned by critics, and left Dino De Laurentiis at a bit of a stalemate in returns.
It is hard to imagine how a movie could be both so violent and so boring, but this Kong show does just that.
It really is a shame to see a great movie heroic figure put in a cheap shot film just to exploit the name, giving nothing back to the audience.
This new one is so bad that the film company actually sent Roger and me letters saying they would let us show snippets of the film on our local TV shows in Chicago, only if we promised in writing not to show you the same clips on this our national show. Obviously, they were scared, and obviously neither one of us would sign such a letter. So, no scenes from King Kong Lives. That's almost a public service. Because there was nothing on the screen that was even slightly entertaining to them.
Actually having to, shortly after, sell the studio to another company, practically and literally leaving King Kong behind. And, oddly enough, so did we, having to head home with barely any traces of where the stuff went. But I sure as hell wasn't done leaving this mystery unanswered. So, we actually did manage to slightly get into the studio. We couldn't get into the sound stages because they were working on a ton of projects. But good news was, the prop department let us in, which was the department we were actually looking for. And we got to see, they unfortunately didn't have much from Kong. There's really nothing left there. However, there were some props from other movies, a huge department there. A lot from Ninja Turtles, which was also shot here. But, yeah, so the nice group of guys, a couple farts at the studio who, been there for over 50 years, and a bunch of really nice chaps, really knew what to talk about, had some really good stories to tell, for notes, but it was worth the trip. And I think it was really worth the trip coming down here and, getting some slight clues and info on, what happened, with that film a couple years ago.
There's too many people to mention by name, but you'll see the credits when they roll for 9 minutes. Don't go to the bathroom, or you probably will need to go to the bathroom, but...
Konami. Watch King Kong climb to the top of the Twin Towers every time you have a drink. It's the King Kong drinking straw. When your glass is full, King Kong sinks to the bottom. Put in your straw. And as you drink, watch him climb. The more you drink, the higher he climbs until he reaches the top. The King Kong drinking straw comes complete with 2 throwaway straws. The King Kong Drinking Straw by Mego.
Hey man, you heading out?
Yeah, the girl's waiting for me downhill.
Yeah, where to?
Probably south. No clues at the studio of where all the stuff went.
Yeah, I think maybe you want to head east. Might be your best bet.
You guys gonna be okay?
Yeah, we'll be fine. You got this, man. No problem.
Take care of Timber for me.
And if she's needed, I'll have Josh come pick her up.
Anything you, want me to tell Mom?
Nah. Go on, get out, scream. Jack? I'm proud of you, son. I think you're on a really good path.
I learned from the best.
Way to go, man.
better. The actual coordinates for the Gauntlet.
How did you get the exact fucking location?
My old man. As we drove further out to the coast, we came to ask what happened. What happened to the great Kongs of Dino De Laurentiis after King Kong Lives bit the dust into obscurity? Well, for starters, in what I could gather from information collected, many of the full-size Kong pieces met their end in the hot and damp wilderness of the studio's backlot, left to die and rot in the elements along with other production set pieces from the likes of Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive, which was also shot there. But thankfully, some managed to escape ahead of time. After King Kong Lives wrapped production, Carlo Rambaldi returned home to his native Italy and took many of his creations with them to be displayed in an exhibit in a museum in the late 80s. From E.T. to Alien to Baby Secret of the Lost Legend, Rambaldi's props and creatures found new home in delighting film educators in this exhibit. Its grand press opening even showcased a still functional full-size animatronic hand that the master himself designed. So this must be the King's Gauntlet, right? Wrong. Like I said, Carlo built everything from scratch, and this hand was used all in all for King Kong Lives. Until at some point this exhibit disappeared and eventually closed, along with capping off the master's legacy. In August 2012, Carlo Rambaldi passed away at age 85 after a decade of retirement. His creations passed down to his estate were surprisingly kept in storage for a long time and unearthed in recent years. These pieces would eventually be restored to the best abilities and find a new home in Italy under the Carlo Rambaldi Foundation, with a fully prepped museum in progress. While the E-Ticket Kong piece is the full-size animatronic arm rig that still has its fur and rubber latex intact, surprisingly enough, they also have several sketches, maquettes, molds, and other parts for the ape suits. Kong himself is at this point non-existent, despite his display in the 80s exhibit. But Lady Kong's suit is still there, along with the case that holds the suit for Prince Kong, the son of his folks respectively, with an alternate mask? Yeah, originally during the film's production, the mask chosen was to showcase that Prince Kong was bigger than your average newly born or even full-size gorilla. Its only downside is its goofy look as a mascot uniform, much less a legit ape suit, and this mask was never used. The mask used in the final film, I'm not sure is in the museum, but it would not surprise me if it was. During the King's demise in the final scene, and uncredited, Prince Kong was played by Benjamin Ketchley, and given he was only on screen for a brief period of time, he did a good job in the ape suit. It's a shame he wasn't credited and given the recognition he deserves as Prince Kong, but I figured I'd bring it up here at long last, and give him the credit he rightfully deserves. While Kong's family resides in this amazing museum, less can be said about the big man himself, literally. And as we traveled along the coastline and edged closer to the coordinates, we hope in vain that whatever is there of the king himself lies within. Some infernal reception. Sure the positions, hun?
Yeah, I mapped out my data banks last night to get a more accurate reading.
We should be near the coordinates. If we don't make it past these roads, we never will. We quartered these parts.
How do you know what it looks like?
A cliff face on the coast that looks like a skull.
Right, you told me. It's odd that it'd be so theatric. A skull seems a little too easy.
That is unless Croft was guessing at the position. Okay, 20 clicks. We're close. Approaching fast. Dead slow. Found this reception. Hitting 16 clicks. What's your scanner say?
6.
See anything?
Not yet.
There, up ahead.
Looks like we're heading right into the storm clouds.
That's no storm cloud. That's a cliff face.
This might not be as easy as I thought. Could be a bit of a challenge.
Well, they didn't come all the way here for nothing. It's the King's Gauntlet. I'm sure of it. Drive. At long last, it all comes down to this. The biggest animatronic ever put to the silver screen with the 40-foot animatronic King Kong built by Carlo Rambaldi. How it was built, how it was used, and what the hell happened to the greatest mystery of all the lost Kong props and in cinema history in general. Cause when I say this is the biggest animatronic built for a movie, I mean it. Even the great towering Tyrannosaurus Rex built by the goat of Stan Winston dwarfs this mammoth sapien of Skull Island and many of those great beasts of Jurassic Park, showing once again that Kong rules all of prehistory. The reason for this behemoth's creation was due to one simple reason that, much like the remake itself, Dino De Laurentiis' obsession with destroying the box office champion Jaws by any means necessary.
And Dino thought that he could make a bigger event movie. There's no question that that was an important motivation of his to beat Jaws. This was Dino as showman, everything he dreamed about himself. Probably of all the movies, the one where he most let it all go as a Dino De Laurentiis production, as a showman. It was all his. All his.
I know I brought it up over and over again every time I bring up this movie and in this particular episode, but it was a common factor that this was the reason for this particular remake. And if it meant building a bigger robot to battle the Great White, outside of that concept being literal in the Korean ripoff Ape, then that was Dino's plan. But much like Bruce himself in the 1975 classic, Kong's animatronic concept, both behind the scenes and on the film, are one in the same in terms of horror stories and malfunctions. But you'd think being on land that Kong would have lesser problems than the saltwater hells of Jaws, right? Right? Wrong! To say this construction was a catastrophe as his fall from the World Trade Center is an understatement. From money spent to poor crew communication to Kong Ping, and even afterwards, this animatronic was put through the fucking ringer. Much like the Styrofoam Kong, the animatronic for the next decade took a worldwide tour in parts of Europe from Italy to France and so on. It was rumored to be used in a few premieres of the film, which was confused for the Styrofoam model, and even appearing in a few theme parks with Jessica Lange as the guest. But that alone is hard to confirm given some pictures of the park showcase a totally different and more cheaper looking ape than seen in the film. A complete scam for tourists at the time as far as I can tell.
King Kong está solto no Play Center. Vá sentir de perto todo o terror e emoção do maior monstro do cinema. Só até 8 de agosto no Play Center.
It was also rumored to spend some time in a few circuses making the Edgar Wallace draft an almost realistic version of the original come to life, and that is also sketchy to confirm to a degree. Though this is what probably led to the rise of seeing cheap animatronic Kong knockoffs in several European circuses up to today. Rambaldi's creation was then sold at some point to a barnstorming tour in South America, where it spent weeks in a traveling stunt show where a master of ceremonies would command it to move to packed crowds, kinda reminding me of Professor Screw-Eye's little scheme in We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. God, can you imagine that? But with Kong?
Remove his shackles! Take 2 steps toward the audience!
But as the hydraulics broke and dismembered over time, leaving interest worn out, the sideshow angle was abandoned and the robot was moved one last time to the city square of Mar del Plata in Argentina, where it was said to stand there for several years. Exposed to the elements, stripped of its hydraulic electronic guts, and its hair and latex beginning to rot away, rumors state the Big Kong was written off and hauled into an Argentinian landfill, never to be seen again in its final days. However, that myth was later busted in an article that appeared in the Henderson Times on April 29th, 1985.
1985? Can't be.
Which stated what was left of the robot was recovered and shipped to North Carolina. This confirms to us that its true final resting place was at the newly built Dino De Laurentiis studio for its use on King Kong Lives. I called up a few departments in the Carolinas, and not only did I get confirmation with a copy of the script as a bonus, thank you so much, but this rare footage of the Big Kong being moved into the studio. And as you can see, he has seen better days, but it's good to know Dino never abandoned Kong as we thought, giving him one last ride with whatever was left. While the animatronic was pretty useless, pieces of it were reusable to put onto the new improved full-size Kongs, including his teeth, which I am a proud owner of. I did a whole video on that a few years ago, and to this day, it stands proud as the crown jewel of my collection, even later on getting a call from the Academy themselves and how I obtained it. But after Lives is where Kong and his incarnations unfortunately died like he did in the movie. While pieces like the head were displayed at the studio entrance and in the boneyard for a few years afterwards, with others stored De Laurentiis props in storage from Conan to Dune, when Dino sold the lot to Calco Pictures, the head of new management ordered whatever rotting pieces were in the back lot to be flattened and destroyed. This including the Kongs themselves, which I was able to confirm from an affiliate on Facebook, who actually worked there at the studio. While sad and upsetting for many of us, much like Hank and Amy in the film, there were a few heroes on the side.
Well, Kong, you've killed now. Nothing will stop them from killing you.
No, there is one thing. We gotta move, come on.
Some of the studio employees, knowing the value of these pieces, ended up grabbing whatever they could from Kong to save and preserve. This including the tooth, which I own and bought from a veteran employee off eBay, but there was one that had caught my eye for a while now. On June 19th, 2017, a listing on eBay was posted from North Carolina, which showcased this. Wow, this was unbelievable. What was offered was a 100% original prop animatronic hand of King Kong used in the 1976 Dino De Laurentiis remake. This is one of the arms of the full-size animatronic, Kong's right hand to be exact. This is the King's Gauntlet I have spent 6 years searching for. Posted by a veteran worker at the studio in Wilmington, he obtained the gauntlet right after from the storage area on the backlot. Unfortunately, from what he stated, the left hand along with the rest of Kong was destroyed, and no longer exists. But for Kong collectors like myself, this was it. It stands 9 feet tall, weighs a couple of 100 pounds, with the fur and latex sadly fully disintegrated. The hydraulic systems are there, but after close to 50 years, time has not been kind to them, and probably would need some major replacements. The superstructure, or frame of the hand, is made out of aluminum and looks to be in fine shape, with each finger made to articulate and move freely, as the wristbands also. So either as is, or with some rebuilding in TLC, this outside of the animatronic hand in Italy is the only remaining used King Kong hand in existence from the films. The bid on eBay was set around $10,000. I reached out to the seller a few years ago in hopes to film it for documentation, and even he offered me half off for it. But even then, I couldn't afford it with my pocket money. I mean, what would I do with it?
I want one of these. Put it on my front lawn. Piss off my neighbors.
But sadly, it's no longer there. The hand had been sold to some extent, but its whereabouts was last seen by the cliff sides of the south coast.
I do believe you made that up.
But all good stories deserve embellishment.
This is where 18 and I are heading. After so much work, so much travel and research, this was an overall exhausting but fun adventure for us on the King Kong reviews, and to close it off with the Dino De Laurentiis films felt appropriate with what's been laid out. To give a more detailed look at these props from these and all the films was a fun ride, and despite its positives and negatives, with newer films out, mostly in nitpicking, thanks CinemaSins, it's nice to know De Laurentiis' Kong movies are loved and respected with fans, and the recent restored releases by Shout Factory, Studio Canal, and most recently Paramount themselves. The cast and crew still look fondly at their work, and it's good to know there is an audience for them, with myself included. While King Kong Lives is a guilty pleasure, the 1976 film, close to 50 years later, still holds a piece of my heart tied with the original as my favorite film, with this retrospective on its props keeping it strong at a 10 out of 10. A classic tale brought to the modern age of its time, the film still stands strong and truly was a legend reborn. And with legends comes destiny. And this is where our destiny lies. On the edge of the ocean, to the warm sandy beaches, within this mountainside, is where the King's Gauntlet at last is ours.
Well, this is the place. Really? It doesn't look like much.
Hey, it's inside that counts. Come on.
Looks like Crops is right. Where they found the Infinity Gauntlet. This would be all too easy.
That's what scares me.
What, is the big strong man afraid of the little cave?
No! If anything, I'm more worried about you.
Listen, I know you're tough and all, but you can really be the cutest thing sometimes.
Just stay close, okay? There's a light up ahead here! Hey, we found it! No. 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 No, 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 no. Not good. Where is it? Where is it? Son of a bitch, no. Oh my god.
Does this mean we came all this way for another loose end?
This thing's been here for 40 years. It doesn't just get up and walk away like the thing. So let's beat us to it. Let's beat us to it! Ah! 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 I'm sorry, 18. Every time I reach for gold, it's always out of our reach.
Alright, before you blow a gasket, look at this.
Plug me into your phone and play me. Of course it's from me. Got a charger?
Might. Does that work?
You're not an android? God, it's the same logic as they do in Jurassic Park 3 here.
True.
To whom it may concern that find this place, We regret to inform you that the Hand of Kong you might have discovered here has been sold to the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Science to be restored and displayed for future showings in its Museum for Film History.
Of course they beat me to it.
Enclosed in the museum's attractions is the ruby slippers from the Wizard of Oz, the original xenomorph head from Alien, the droid costumes and props of C-3PO and R2-D2 from Star Wars, and of course, the last remaining cast mold of the original shark animatronic from Steven Spielberg's Jaws. The Hand of Kong is in storage, safely being restored to the best of our abilities for the museum. Its rusted structure will unfortunately never fully be functional, and potential cast molds of the latex skin and fur will probably be impossible to replicate in comparison to the well-preserved hand from the sequel in Italy under the Rambaldi estate. We hope this isn't an inconvenience for any hardcore Kong fans who seek this item, given the Eighth Wonder's treasures are becoming increasingly rare and hoarded by hardcore collectors. Thanks, Pete.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they got more money.
If you wish to see this piece or inquire any further information, you can reach out to our contact email at the museum's website. Safe travels, the Academy. P.S. The structure is tripwired, so it might collapse. Bye!
We gotta go. Now.
Wait! The Gauntlet! There's gotta be something here. There's gotta be at least something to kind of get us anything.
We have to go.
No, there's gotta be just...
Go. The only hand of God you're taking today is mine.
Let's go! It's coming in! Let's go! Let's go!
Looks like your friends got this covered. They said they'll reach out to the Academy to give you a hand. I'm not ready to take my paycheck at this point.
Do with it what you will, my friend. Your job here is done.
I'm sorry about the loss. I know we've had a run-in with bad luck these past few years. It's made any expectation of anything near non-existent. But hey, that hunk of junk is found and it's in good hands. I'm sure Ray will take care of it for you. And the tooth is back at your place, so no breaks even, right? Come on. Let's split the wins. I'll drive you home.
Not me. I still got shit to do.
You never give yourself a break, do you?
You'd be surprised. There's still more out there. More things to see, to do, and to review for those who crave my talents. I'm sure somewhere and sometime, my obsession of Kong will still linger, waiting for me to capture my thoughts on whatever lies ahead.
Well, then what do I do?
Go home. Get yourself to the apartment. You'll be safe there. You need it. It'll be some time if I need to ask for you again.
Don't say it too late, then.
You have my word on that. Until we meet again.
BigJackFilms! Are you YouTuber BigJackFilms?
Yeah? Who the hell are you?
InGen. We'll let you borrow a couple of our assets in Toronto. In fact, a couple of us would like you to explain the deal. Our CEO would like to make an exchange. We made a resort out of the coast of Hawaii and we would like you to observe.
Did you say InGen?
Yeah, InGen Bioengineering. You gonna ride?
Oh, that's great. I can, oh, right, shit. She went back to Canada. You wouldn't happen to have a Ford Escape, would you?
93 Ford Explorer.
Oh, fair enough.
You need a ride to the airport? American Airlines. On the house!
Oh, what the hell? Where's the plane?